normally don't do this kind of shit, but I have two quick topics that probably can get mashed into one video, as opposed to doing 2 videos, adding a ton of Bungie release footage of Forsaken, 8 minutes of filler to get ads, and pretending like I'm the only channel that has info on this shit. You know, like those money-hungry, dick-riding info channels that pump out more shit than a YouTube order giving himself an enema. So here's the deal. Friday is my final day that I will be taking people through the normal Spire of Stars. Not Prestige, although I'll get into that in a second, but I want to get some people at least through the normal version. I have my final summer Friday of the year for my company, so I'll be off all day long and can take people who are online through the Spire on at least normal. I don't care if you've done it before or not, but I would like to kind of prioritize the people who haven't done it. That way I can at least get them their first completion if possible. You don't need to be an expert in the raid, that's going to be my job, but at least have some knowledge of what you're getting yourselves into. The first parts of the raid are not that difficult, but the boss phase is a pain in the ass because there are just so many goddamn steps. We're going to do the hokey pokey to damage the boss, so have at least some idea of what it entails, and that'll be pretty helpful for me. Now, if you've been playing recently, then you might have done some of the Solstice of Heroes quest and whatnot, probably got some armor ranked up in the past few weeks, so I would at least hope that people by now have hit 370 and more likely in the 380s and possibly even higher, which will be needed. The final boss is 385. So being all in the 380s allows you to survive the ridiculous number of ads that'll be showing up on the map. Guns to bring will be any of the 3 best hand cannons that are in the game. Midnight Coup, DFA, they're rare to have, but if you have them, those will be helpful. If not, Better Devils, always an excellent choice, probably even superior to some of the options that we have out there. Nameless Midnight is not bad, but hand cannons are going to be a better option. An energy scout rifle like the Mananan is awesome, or even the Polaris Lance if you want to use that as your exotic. And finally, the Whisper is pretty goddamn amazing. As you can probably imagine, that gun is fucking awesome. If you don't have the Whisper, the Sleeper Simulant works, the Darcy works, the Aikelo Sniper also works, and that's if you decide to use the Polaris Lance. And if you don't have any of that shit, possibly a rocket. Either way, there are a number of quality guns that you can actually bring. Prestige, on the other hand, is a different story. Mainly because the new modifiers make this shit so goddamn annoying. For starters, to get into Prestige, you have to at least have 1 normal completion. Without completing normal, you can't access the Prestige raid. Each week, these modifiers and loadouts rotate, and I believe this week will be Prism, which rotates burn damage, what is it, like every 30 seconds or 45 seconds or so? I don't know. The challenge, though, is the stupid fucking gun loadouts. You never know what stupid shit Bungie will roll out, and since I'm posting this video well before the actual reset, I have no idea what it will be ahead of time. We could get lucky, we could get a sniper or a fusion rifle for heavy, which means the Whisper or the Sleeper become the dominant weapon, or they could totally troll the fuck out of us and make it swords, and even some more bullshit with like 2 fucking sidearms. I don't know. But I highly doubt Bungie plays this shit to see what modifiers are and how fucking stupid this shit is sometimes. Basically, people have needed to rely on their supers to kill the raid lair bosses on weeks in which the gun loadouts are so fucking terrible. In any event, Friday, all day, Spire Day. I should be on starting probably around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on PlayStation, of course, since my only platform. Getting into the room is going to be easy enough with either a friend request, a message at that time, joining Prestige Gamerz clan, which you can do over on the Bungie website. I'll leave a link in the description. So there are ways of getting into the room with me. If I get through one raid, I'm going to jump back in and do another one, but that'll work itself out once we start playing on Friday. That being said, on to the second part of the video, and this is something that I wanted to do a few weeks ago, but as you guys know, life got in the way. Essentially, gearing up for Forsaken. Had I done it a few weeks ago, it would have been a little bit more relevant. Fortunately, I didn't get my opportunity to, so now there are plenty of videos out there that have already done this. So I'm not the only one that's going to explain this, but there are some key things in order to do to get a head start ranking up in Forsaken, and there are reasons as to why you would want to do that. For people like me, I want to get into the raid as quickly as possible. I don't need to be the first person in the raid, but I like getting my raids in during the opening weeks. That way I can lead others through it after that. It's always my goal to be raid ready immediately. And it's not that I need to be max light right away, but I like to be the one that has the most experience in a raid so that I can be able to run all the positions if possible. So I prep ahead of time. And there are 2 key things that might help people in the Forsaken. Now, for both of these ideas, I have to warn people that I don't know if they will continue to work with the Forsaken DLC. It's quite possible that both of these ideas will be changed as the DLC launches, and possibly even next week during this new reset that they're going to have. So this could all be completely useless, but if they do work, well, then you're going to get a head start on the process. Since Forsaken is going to be changing quite a bit of the economy and the structure, we're not going to fully know the extent of these ideas until the DLC is actually live, but for now, here are the two things that I'm going to be doing to prep for the DLC. First key item, I have been hoarding Leviathan raid keys. This is a common method that people use in order to get to max light very quickly. But again, it worked when Leviathan was the active raiding location, and it might not work for the Dreaming City location. But essentially, here is the gist. Each week, the regular Leviathan raid, both Prestige and normal, the one where you have to beat Callus, will give you 3 underbelly keys per character if you complete all the encounters. These keys go towards your item page every week in your inventory, but they expire each week if they remain in your inventory. However, if they go to your postmaster, then they carry over week to week. And as you can see here by my character in the background, I have all these raid keys and I have been sitting on them for weeks. And each week, I add to my collection by running the Leviathan raid. The way you do it is you need to fill your inventory with all this bullshit. So, KADI maps, gunsmith parts, tokens from planet vendors, planet materials, whatever the fuck. Accumulate as much shit as you possibly can. Fill each inventory slot with as much shit as you can. And then once your inventory is full, each one of these keys will go to the postmaster and they will carry over infinitely every single week. Since these keys unlock engrams that scaled to your level when Leviathan was active, this was how quite a number of people ranked up to max light immediately during Spire of Stars. So when the Forsaken launches and you start ranking up and you possibly hit that soft wall of a cap, these would be an excellent way to attempt to break through that soft wall. Now again, this is all in theory, because these keys worked when Leviathan was the active raid. Since Bungie states Leviathan is not going to be brought forward, it's quite possible that the engrams will only top out at 380. However, they also have a high chance of dropping an exotic engram, which could also scale up to your level. Again, the exotics might be an old exotic, but it's an exotic nonetheless. So worst case scenario is all these keys are useless, and I'll just have to delete them all from my postmaster once I know that they're useless. Best case scenario is they rank me up and new exotics start falling from these engrams. Either way, by the time I started saving these keys, I didn't need anything from these chests, so holding on to them made more sense, that way in case they would help me out during Forsaken. Now, the second method is very similar to what we used to do in Destiny 1, and again, it also might or might not work in Forsaken. Those are the bounties. Complete and save your bounties. Each day, ZAVALA and SHAXX have a batch of bounties that they roll out, and these bounties are fairly easy to complete if you're motivated enough. Now, the bounties themselves are only good for 24 hours, so you need to complete them within the day that you pick them up. And it's not something you can hold on to without actually completing them. After 24 hours, I believe the incomplete bounties are removed from your inventory, but if you complete the bounty and you don't cash them in, they stay in your inventory forever. By grabbing these, completing them immediately, and not cashing them in, you create a stack of cashable items that can be used once the DLC starts. This is similar to how bounties were stacked in Destiny 1 that led to a lot of XP in the next DLC. You got the idea, right? It can be used absolutely in the same exact manner. Piling up these bounties in the final 2 weeks is an excellent way to get a jump start on the Forsaken DLC as well. And again, I don't know if they're going to have any major impact on ranking up, but at a minimum, it's extra bounties, it's extra materials, possibly some engrams and some XP that you can carry into the DLC. It's a way to prep for people that are racing to rank up pretty quickly. Now, along with potentially not working with the DLC, there is also a soft reset happening next week. On the 28th, 1 week from today, Bungie's going to be rolling out this new vault and gun system to give people a chance to pretty much clear out and readjust their inventory. Again, I don't know how this will work. I don't know the impact of what this will do to what we've stored, what we have, or whatever the fuck. The economy changes, we'll be removing tokens and KADI maps from your inventory, and Bungie could quite possibly auto-clear out your postmaster. I don't know. Nobody really does unless they tell us something during this Thursday's update, but at the very least, you can do the prep work if you want to, because otherwise, there's really not much to collect in these final 2 weeks of gameplay. I mean, unless you're really motivated to get a certain gun, like, say, the Redrick's Claymore or something like that. But I'm basically spending these last 2 weeks ramping up items to hit the floor running on Forsaken. So, to recap both parts of the video. Friday is Spire Day, taking any first timer who is online through the raid to hopefully get their first completion. I should be starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you just need to be online at that time and let me know you're down to play and we'll get some games in. Gearing up for Forsaken should also be the goal these final 2 weeks. Start taking daily bounties from ZAVALA and SHAXX if you have the chance. Try to get some raid keys, put them in your postmaster to see if they scale or not. I have a feeling they won't, but at the very least, I'm prepared that if they do scale. That way, both of these items can help you rank up a touch quicker when the DLC releases for those that are trying to get into the raid earlier. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and I'll see you guys in the next video.